Friends, I don't know what happened. I feel like I got so like stuffy, sneezy, literally right before filming this video. And I'm like, why? I'm like, I wasn't even doing anything different except for getting my books out. Am I allergic to my books or something? Hello friends, happy Friday. So very excited that you're here. I'm talking about everything I read in the month of June. And surprisingly, I read a lot more than I anticipated. I read 26 volumes and I was pretty shocked, honestly, because since my kids have gone out of school, I really feel like my reading has been chaos, and just haven't read nearly as much because typically I read at night, but the past several nights I have been playing Roblox with my two boys and we've been staying up late playing video games. So yeah, so just reading as a whole feels like it's on the down low, but my reading journal told me a different story. But let's go ahead, jump right into everything that I read last month. Starting off with the digital things I read on Webtoons. Well, this one was on Manga. I read chapter 31 of In So Deep, It's Love Already. I had mixed feelings on this chapter, mainly because it's centered around the older brother, which I've said in other previous reading wrap-ups. I really dislike him. But the reason I had the mixed feelings is because I feel like this chapter showed more of his backstory and why he acts the way he does. Does it justify his actions? No. Do I like him anymore? Maybe just a tad, but really, ultimately, me truly liking him is going to determine how he acts moving forward. I'm also continuing to read The Remarried Empress. I read chapters 216 to 218. Right now, The Remarried Empress is, for some reason, on break. The two chapters I read, I was trying to think back because I was like, oh no, I'm behind, because I was behind on all my webtoons. And I went to go read, and I'm like, oh, there's no new updates. I did like the latest chapter that we got because Henry's realizing that him and Navier, they deeply love one another, but sometimes they're just not on the same wave. And it came out in the form of a lot of funny shenanigans. I felt a little bit bad for him, but it was a really cute chapter. The buildup of the political scheme that's happening right now is continuing, so I am curious to see how things are going to unfold. The one I'm definitely behind on that I did not catch up on is The Beloved Incompetent Stepmom. I read chapters 14 and 15. I believe there's 2 or 3 more chapters that have come out since then, and I did love what I read. I cried. I got really teary-eyed. We got this, not backstory, but one of the characters is finally sharing and admitting everything that has been happening to him and the struggle that he has, and because he's a young child, it was completely heartbreaking to see how things that have been said by adults have affected him and how he has just taken in those words like a sponge and really have brought about these scary things for him and how he has viewed the world and how it's affected him on a physical level. It was a very powerful breakthrough and definitely had lots of tears for myself and for the characters. Funny enough, I mentioned, I think it was maybe in Wednesday's video, top 5 Wednesday video that I did this week, I was talking about because I shared a manhwa and I said typically I try to avoid starting any webtoons or manhwa that don't have a physical release, because then if I like the series, I'll get hooked on it and then I'm going to be begging and wanting a physical release. But the funny thing is, I finally noticed that if I feel bored or I'm not ready to commit to my TBR, I will go on webtoons and randomly scroll at things. Never mind the fact I've gotten several suggestions and recommendations for webtoons that I feel like are exactly up my alley. I'm just like, no, let's just go see what's on there. And of course, there was one that I decided to try, and that was No Benefits for the Reincarnated. This is not a villainous story. I read chapters 1 through 5, which means I'm up to date right now. And it's a very fascinating story because it's about a young woman who gets reincarnated into this world. She thinks things are going to be easy and great. No, her family falls into ruin because she was of a noble family. She ends up becoming a maid to this actual noble family, and she looks after the upcoming head of the household, like the son, and he's pretty young at the time. He runs off because they're playing tag, and he runs off to this place where no one is supposed to go. She thinks he went in there and she's panicking. Well, she ends up entering to find him to get him to like come out so they don't get in trouble. She ends up getting trapped in this room, magical room, I guess you could say, with all of these like different books on magic, and she has been stuck here for 100 days. And the heroine, being great that she is, because she has no OP powers, like she has some magical ability, but it's really low, she uses this time to study all the books in there and learn about magic and how to grow her magical ability, which still does not grow to any kind of OP status. When she finally gets out of the room after 100 days, she finds that I think it's like 10 plus years have passed in reality, and the world has had basically like this apocalypse. And who should she see though when she gets out, because she's about to be attacked by these giant man-eating birds, that it is the young master, who is now a lot older. I forget his age and what age they are, because she was like, we'll say like 18, 20 or so. Now they're about the same age because of how much time has passed. Well, he ends up saving her and they go back into the magic room. Thankfully some things happen so they're not stuck in there, and that's when she's finding out like that the world she knew it is not the same. And I think what makes this series very interesting is there's not this overpowered character, which I don't personally mind, but that's what makes it stand out, is because she has this love for knowledge and studying, and so everything she's learning is coming from those magical books that she read. So she has, like, it seems where she can write the runes or the magic circles, because again her magic hasn't improved, like the mana that she has, and so she's using that to aid the hero, and the hero is on board. He's so encouraging. I really loved both of them. There's also a magical pig who is the cutest, and the heroine threatens to cook it and turn it into bacon. So it's been very interesting and very unique compared to the other series that I have read when it comes to manga or manhwa, but mainly specifically like manhwa and webtoons. I'm very excited to see where it goes. The art is very good and I would definitely recommend it. Like, so it only has 5 chapters. I think it comes out on Monday nights or sometime on Monday. And yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next, because I actually put off catching up with The Incompetent Stepmom just so I could go read these chapters of this one, because I have just been so intrigued by it. Now let's go into the physical things I read. I'm going to continue to do the same like I have in the past 2 videos of doing it by publisher, so it's all like grouped that way, then by how I read them. And I'm so sad to sort of kick off my physical read with this, because I love the main series, but I wasn't a huge fan of the spinoff, and that's Kaiju number 8, B-side. I was so excited because it's centering around Hoshina, and the art is great. The story is great. It's nothing wrong with the manga. The thing is I remember when I read the novel that came out sometime last year, shout out to my friend Bree, because she gifted this to me for Christmas, and I absolutely loved it. And I remember seeing a review that somebody said that B-side was an adapted version of the novel. Yes, that is true. It's just that was what happened, is I was too busy comparing the manga to the novel and the things that were missed out in the novel. It's a very faithful adaptation, and if you enjoyed the novel and the scenes that focus purely on Hoshina, then very strong chances are you will like the spinoff. I think they really did a great job of adapting the original art to make it where it's very similar, but it's also its own thing, which I deeply appreciate, because I felt like I was worried about that from the start. I liked it, but the problem was I just wanted the things that were cut from the light novel. So I feel bad saying negatively, I guess, about it, but it definitely fell into a matter of I was just caught in that comparison trap, because I don't think it was bad, and I really did like seeing a lot of the cool action scenes adapted from the novel. I just wish it would have started from the actual beginning of this, and also that like Kafka's perspective that he had wasn't cut out, which would make sense though, because this is Hoshina's story, not Kafka's story. So I guess that's just something to be mindful of, and why I ultimately struggled with this and unfortunately will not be continuing. Next up is A Star Brighter Than the Sun Volume 2, and this continues to be deeply amazing. I'm very much enjoying it. I really love how like Sei and Koki are having this realization that they are not who they were when they were younger, which would make sense, but I feel like for Sei specifically, we see her often compare Koki in the now to who he was when he was younger, and how she has this desire to help look after him and protect him, and he's at a point in a certain scene where he's like, I am not a little kid anymore. I don't need your protection. Like, not in a rude way because she's a girl or something, but he's like, I want to protect you. I am able to do that now. Sei, I feel like, had that wake-up call of, I mean, yes, she has liked him, obviously, but she's realizing, again, yeah, he is not a little kid. So I really enjoyed that part of this volume a lot. Also continuing to love the girl friendships and how they are just reminding Sei like, hey, we are here for you. You have this crush. We will do what we can to help you make that crush become an actual romance relationship between you two. And how it ended, I really hope that that is going to be the case very, very soon. For these next three, I'm not going to really share any thoughts on them because I had a first impression video of it, and that is Snow Angel Volume 1, Firefly Wedding Volume 1, and Magical Girl Dandelion Volume 1. Shout out to my friend May because she sent me a physical Japanese copy and I'm so excited, and we did get this manga physically in English, or like I got a license for it, be coming out next year, and I'm so excited. The reason I am featuring all three of these is because Magical Girl Dandelion and Firefly Wedding both won my shoujo event, so if you'd like to see my reviews on those, including Snow Angel, check out this video here. I unfortunately never made it to my library to get Volume 2 because I did mention that I wanted to get it, and I think I've mentioned online, and I've mentioned to several friends who have like, please continue it, so I definitely want to, just have been lazy and haven't actually gone to my library, but I do want to get Volume 2 because this one was very, very gripping, and I was very surprised how much I was invested with Magical Girl Dandelion. Like, I love it. That was my second reread, and Snow Angel was very, very eye-opening, so I'm thankful that I read all of them, and again, thank you friends for voting in my event so that, you know, it would be like for sure that I would read these and give a first impression. Maybe I should have done this one sooner because it is Kaiju 8 related, Kaiju number 8 I mean, and I read Volume 13, so good. Seeing Ichikawa shine was everything. This series continues to blow me away. I deeply, deeply love it. It's the only shonen series I'm really following right now. I love the characters. I love seeing Ichikawa shine. Like, yes, honestly, the third division just shine. I was here for it. I was having the time of my life, and I felt on the edge of my seat. Seeing things with Mina, seeing into her mind was everything. Very, very excited for the next volume. These volumes, I read them too fast, and the wait is too long between them. I need to know what's going to happen next. Very, very good. 10 out of 10 every single time. Now we'll be going on to the Kodansha Reads, and I read Volume 13 of A Condition Called Love. I was skimming through this actually before this video. Man, Hanoni, I feel like we've had some ups and downs, and I know that people that were anime only do not really like Hanoni, but he is so perceptive, and I feel like you really see that in this volume because when the previous volume ended with Hotaru saying she doesn't want to go home, implying that she'd rather go home with him than go home with her family, I mean, that was a lot. I love how he had a moment where he just stopped breathing because poor Hanoni, but he knew something was going on with Hotaru, and I truly love the development that came out of it, and again, just how perceptive he was because there was something wrong, and I really appreciate something I never knew that I needed or was expecting or even anticipating was that we would get a chapter, I'm pretty sure it was one long chapter centered around Hotaru's sister, and hearing more, like hearing things from her side of what exactly was happening, why she's making the decisions that she is. It was very good, and I'm like, can we please get more of that? Because I really appreciated that. Also, awesome parents who are involved, parents who are engaged. Love seeing that. I get where the dad's coming from, and I'm thankful that he is not like the dad in My Girlfriend's Child, who is not cool and not good and really not happy with a lot of decisions he's making. I just feel like this dad, I mean, there's a mom too, like Hotaru's parents, but I feel like the dad, like, I just love how he is wanting to know who Hanoni is and getting to actually know him. Like, it's just really good. But the cliffhanger at the end of this was scary because you know things are about to be dropped, and I don't know how it's going to be handled by certain characters. So of course I will be tuning in regardless if there was a cliffhanger or not, but I'm definitely going to be tuning in because of how this volume ended. I am a little sad to talk about this one, and that is Let's Dance a Waltz Volume 1 through 3. I read this for a book club, and I have wanted to read this series for such a long time, and I was really excited. I nominated it, and it won like the poll that we do. I don't know. It wasn't, I just don't know. So I think the biggest thing here is, now this is about ballroom dancing. I believe this is by the same creator as Kitchen Princess, which I have not read, but our female lead here, her name is Hime, and she's on the chubbier side when we meet her, and I really love that. She wore glasses, and I just thought she was beautiful, like despite what this one jerk of a character says, not in the main cast, just a random dude. He was awful. But she's really sweet, very beautiful, and she ends up learning ballroom dancing, and she loses a significant amount of weight. Like, I think it was close to like 45 pounds kind of thing. Like, it was insane. Yes, I definitely think that when you're doing a exercise like ballroom dancing, which requires a lot of stamina and endurance, and I can imagine like a whole bunch of other things I don't even know, that it would be natural for somebody to lose weight if they were, say, like on the the chubbier, overweight side. But the issue was, for me, is during that time when I read this, there was so much talk online of having better representation of characters who are not overly thin, who are, say, on the chubbier side, and how those characters that certain authors that we don't have necessarily in English, except for like Embrace Your Size, which I highly recommend. I do have a review of that, but there's not a lot of good written stories that we have available. With that in my mind, I was deeply disappointed how Hime was treated in this series. I didn't really enjoy Volume 1. I didn't care for the male lead. I was more invested into the side characters, and that sort of continued in Volume 2, but with Volume 2, I realized Hime just has to be the side piece for the male lead. Maybe that sounds really harsh, but it was the only way I could enjoy this series. I felt that Hime was just there, who was an overweight protagonist who loses weight, suddenly gets beautiful, and becomes really good at dancing, and all eyes are on her. But we never really get to know her as a female lead. It felt like her story was sort of glossed over, and then we get the backstory more of sorts with the male lead, and I'm like, okay, but I like Hime, and I really wanted her to get that time and attention when she's a great heroine. She's someone you easily want to root for, but it's more of like she's just part of the plot, not a genuine character who's moving the plot along, and I was very, very bummed by that. The dancing, don't get me wrong, is very, very interesting and very good, especially in this third volume. I love when they're competing and we see them thriving. Like, you can really feel the sense of movement, and that was fantastic. I enjoyed that element so much. But I was just, overall, I was very disappointed. I only bought this third volume because my library didn't have it, and I will say that the actual direct ending was good. There was a certain couple that I wanted to see thrive, and they did. And if they didn't, I would have read it because they were the MVP of this series, and I was happy to see that Hime did get a genuine happy ending. I was surprised you could tell the series was cut short because this third volume, oh my goodness, was like so angsty, and I'm like, dude, we are getting so many random threads, new threads that are opening up that I'm like, this is too much. We're about to be over. I don't think it's one I would necessarily recommend per se. It's not bad, but there were too many things that I personally was hoping for or wanted that I just could not enjoy this at its fullness. And I'm sad to say that, considering this series has been on my TBR for several years. I have gone back to the final volume, just to that very final page, because I just enjoyed that final 2 pages so much. So maybe that does say a little bit more than what I'm personally saying to come back to it, though I will be unhauling this, unfortunately, because this is definitely not a series that I plan to come back to anytime. But I guess if you do want something that has ballroom dancing that is shoujo manga, I know we do have a few that are like not shoujo, then I guess just come in with an open mind, and I think you will definitely enjoy at least the sports aspect of this story, because that is very strong and very rich. For my last Kodansha Reads that I have been doing a buddy read with my friend B. Her username is Manga So Sweet. I will leave it here. She has some really cute photos, and she is just, guys, she is just so sweet. I unintentionally went MIA on her because we've been reading A Sigh of Affection. We've read volumes 1 through 3. I read volume 4 yesterday, and I'm loving this series so much, and I just appreciate her kindness when things have been chaotic because our neighbors were like burning at nighttime at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. My allergies and my kids' allergies were a hot mess, and this was ongoing for 2 to 3 days at least that I was personally counting, because I couldn't figure out why it was smelling so smoky in my house and why I was having itchy eyes and just all of those allergy-like symptoms. It was awful. But reading this series with her honestly has been a huge stress reliever. I think it was the day I read volume 1, and that day had been pretty intense, and y'all, I went to bed like right after I read. I was knocked down 5 minutes, which is not usual for me, and I just feel like with every volume, every time we talk about it just makes my heart feel lighter. It's just so swoon-worthy. I've really just appreciated being back with these characters because Yuki and Itsuomi are amazing, and I truly forgot just how much I love it. And I'm like, man, I need to reread this series often because I love the way it makes me feel. I love seeing the relationship between them grow and transform, how mindful Itsuomi is of Yuki, and how Yuki is just giving her all. She's definitely a heroine that I love to cheer for, and just amazed by her boldness and how she is going out there doing everything that she she can to really convey her feelings. It's a beautiful series. Would highly recommend it if you haven't read it before. I'm very excited to reread all of what's available and then read volume 11, I think it is, because I haven't read that one, and I'm just shout to be for her patience with me and reading this series with me. It has been so enjoyable to be back with these characters. Next up is Yen, and what is up with me reading these volumes and then starting off this video saying it wasn't a favorite for me. I'm not going to talk about this one. I will just say that it was not for me, and that was volume 1 of A Witch's Life in Mongol. It just was not for me. I'm not going to go into depth about it because I didn't even want to write a physical review of it because I know there's so many people hyped for this, but this was not what I thought it was. Though I do think if you like historical fiction, then you will really love this because it definitely has a very strong historical aspect, which I knew it was a historical, but I didn't realize how strong it goes into things. But yeah, I unfortunately will not be reading more volumes of this, even though I really wanted to. Now, the next two were sort of a surprise for me, and that is a reread. Typically, I just don't reread much on the weekends, even if it's not the summertime, but I just had an urge to reread this series, and so I reread volumes 9 and 10 of Mint Chocolate. It's been a hot minute since I've come back to it, and I started reading, and I just could not stop, and I loved being back with these characters. Very excited that volume 13, I think it is up for pre-order. It's coming out later this year. It is a gem of a series. I do have a video review. It is sort of, I guess you'd say, a taboo series if you check it out, but I really relate to the female lead and her backstory. Like, it is outside of Fruits Basket, things with Toru. This is one of the most relatable heroines I've read when it comes to why you act and think the way you do when it comes to family members and them being worried that something has happened to them. Very good, and I definitely explain that more in that video review, but I'm excited to be back with these characters and looking forward to the next volume. Oh, I had so many mixed feelings originally when I read this, and that is Dark Moon, the Blood Altar volume 7. This is the final volume. It says final, but that's the thing, is everything I had been hoping for, I got in this volume. The happy ending I deeply desired, we got. But the last 2 pages? What was that? It led me to believe that there is going to be more, and immediately after I finished this, I went to go do research because I'm like, it cannot end there. It cannot for any reason end there, but yet it ended there. And I found out that according to, I guess, online, that all of these 7 volumes are just season 1, and there's going to be season 2. There seems to be, I know there's a prequel when the vampire, or when the guys, excuse me, were children, and that's ongoing on WebToons. But there seems to be, maybe, I can't confirm because it's not in English, like a sequel called The Blood of Vargar. I think that's how you say that. I would love to read it, but again, it's not in English. So I say all that because I felt so conflicted. I have not felt this conflicted on an ending in a really long time, where I just did not know how to feel, because the pages leading up to the end, exactly what I wanted, exactly what I was hoping for. There were a few things I was a little disappointed with in the middle, and I would say compared to the previous volumes, I gave this 4 stars instead of 5 because it didn't quite hit that same peak. Still really good. Definitely have come back and looked over it, because there was a time with that ending that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to come back to this, because that's just how shocked and upset I was. And I'm like, Laura, that's really extreme to just drop an entire series or sell an entire series because of the last 2 pages. I'm still keeping it, and I'm definitely glad that it had a great ending and that it had what I wanted, because that made me really happy. And I did love seeing or thinking about how the things Suha wanted at the beginning of the series that she did get by the end. That was really great. So hopefully we will get a season 2. It's been 2 years, I think, since there's been any kind of announcement. Several people have said that they think after the sequel ends that we'll finally get season 2. And I really hope that's the case, because I love the music. I mean, this series got me into K-pop and got me into this group specifically. So I'm very attached to it. I'm hoping to have a video review. I was actually planning to do one, but things have sort of changed, and I've got a surprise video coming instead, but I hope at a later date that I can. I'm definitely still tuning in for the anime because the action scenes are awesome. And one thing I was excited to see, which maybe sounds really bad, is that the bad guy, he got what was coming for him. Like, I loved seeing certain moments. I'm like, yes, give it to that man because of everything that he has done up to this point. So great ending. Just be mindful that the very direct ending is gonna feel a little bit open-ended, as an FYI. Oh, this one was so cute, and that's Victoria of Many Faces, Volume 2. I really, really enjoyed this, though at the beginning I was really uncertain of what was going to happen because it felt a little bit all over the place, or maybe not necessarily that, but I didn't really know the direction it was going. I'm like, I don't know how this information or this character is going to tie into like later, but then it sort of evened out, and then it focused on the family wholesome vibes, and I was like, yes, this is exactly what I came here for. This is exactly what I wanted, and so I deeply enjoyed it, really loving how everything is unfolding, and I really love seeing Victoria issue out justice of sorts and how she took one matter into her own hands. Like, I really agreed with her and really loved how that was unfolding. Also, there's a scene where she kicks this dude's butt, and I was here, I was seated, I was on board. She looked epic and awesome. Very excited to see where things go. I'm going to continue to read it because I'm loving these characters. It's a really sweet read, and I just love how Victoria can be in any of these roles and just excel at it. Like, it's really interesting seeing what is she going to do next, not just as a mother-like figure to this young woman here, but just in general, because she's an interesting character and it's just been a good read. Now we're going to go on to 7 C's read, and I was so excited that last month I actually read a novel because I took a sick day. I don't know what was going on that day, but I read volume 5 of I Swear I Won't Bother You Again. Shout out to my friend Gira. She gifted this to me, I think earlier this year, because I love the manga, and I think she said she dropped the manga and just went to the light novel, and she had shared some spoilers with me, which I was 100% okay with. Like, I wanted them. These were spoilers you want to see kind of thing. She was like, you need to read it. And so she gifted this to me, even though I'm manga only, and I loved it. I will say I'm thankful I'm manga only because I have seen people warn that the light novel does get dark. And just from the little bit we get here, because there is a like section that you get other characters' perspective and you see how unhinged they are. And I was like, I'm thankful that the manga really tones down on the darkness of Violetta's family, because there was some messed up things happening and it made me deeply uncomfortable to read. Like, actually one of the chapters, I just skimmed it, and there was another chapter I didn't even read because I'm like, I don't need this in my head, and it would make me so upset for Violetta. And I was so thankful to see her genuinely get a happy ending. Like, it was everything I was hoping for her. Now, one thing I really love too about reading, not just seeing that happy ending for Violetta, but Yulin here, he has been my favorite from the start. I love Yulin. It's interesting because he is more, I don't think unhinged is the right word, but it was definitely when reading this that I love when you have male leads who have this crazy unhinged side to them, but the female lead never sees it because he hides it from her. Maybe that sounds really bad and a little bit of toxic, but y'all, Yulin, he could do no wrong in my eyes. I have loved Yulin again from the start, and I just think it's so funny of how cold he is to literally everybody else but Violetta. He wears this mask so incredibly well, but with Violetta, he deeply loves her. Like, there's nothing this man won't do for her. Nothing, okay? Like, I genuinely mean nothing. I feel like he would do anything for her to keep her safe. Like, never ever cross this man, never ever hurt Violetta, because you will not live to see another day. And so seeing him interact with, like, when he goes to work at his job and how he interacts with his coworkers, so deadpanned, never emotionally reacts, and he'll put on that mask when he needs to be friendly for the sake of his job, but then when he comes home, he is all smiles. And I was like, Yulin, I'm here for this, buddy. I am here for this. I was loving those scenes so much. I think this volume had a lot of great questions that were explored because of the tragic backstory that Violetta has with her mother. I really loved as a, like, I'm not going to go in depth because I'm going to spoilers, but they talked about raising children, what that would look like, what they would do. I found I really liked how that entire conversation was explored. I love how the series directly ended, but then after that we got these extra chapters, and I loved how it fully ended as well. It was really hard to see Violetta in one moment really cry out how thankful she was that certain people were not in her life anymore, because she really is isolated, and I worried for her at first because of how isolated she is, but she's so happy, and Yulin is so happy, and so I was thankful for that, because if she wasn't and she was trapped basically in this house, then it would have been a whole other thing. But seeing how she was trapped in her home growing up to now having this freedom in her new house, again, was everything. It was a very moving, emotional ending. I cried for her because it was just everything that she's gone through. Even if the manga really tones things down, you still see that pain, that devastation, that heartache, that uncertainty, and I just felt such joy for Violetta. Like, even makes me emotional thinking about it now, because I just want nothing but the best for her, and I'm thankful that Yulin is in her life and genuinely has showed her and given her that happiness that she has always deserved but has not been given because of certain family members. So I would definitely recommend it. If, like, for the novel, just be mindful of trigger warnings, that it is much darker, and then, you know, I would recommend the manga if you want something lighter that still has that original plot but toned down, because Yulin is not, he's not quite that unhinged in the manga. So that was a really pleasant surprise for me reading that in the novel. I still have debated if I want to get the previous volumes. I don't think I am, but I will definitely reread this again because of how much personal enjoyment I had, how it made my day. So shout out to Gira if she's watching this. I really, really loved it, and I look forward to coming back and rereading that happy ending over and over again. I should have maybe put this sooner, but since it's not by the same publisher, I didn't feel comfortable doing that. But the other series that won for my shoujo event was Reliving My Life with a Boyfriend Who Doesn't Remember Me, and I reread volumes 1 through 3, and I did a video review if you'd like to check it out. I loved being back with this series. In fact, just this morning I saw that volume 4, my pre-order, has shipped. I'm excited to see how things unfold. It is a beautiful series, so much angst. It is really, really good. Please go check out the review. Please check out the series. The art is beautiful, but the story is just as beautiful as well. Gives you all the emotional feels, and again, I can't wait to dive into volume 4. Oh man, Last Game volume 9. I am continuing to love this series. There were many times I was on the fence if I wanted to keep reading, but things are finally coming out. Our leads are finally realizing that they both have feelings for the other, which they both knew. I mean, Kujo a little bit slower on the uptake there, but they're not on the same page, even though they're both on the same page of wanting to convince the other person to fall in love with them. But how this volume ended, I really think that is more sooner than they realize, and hopefully that I realize, even though I think the series goes up to volume 11, so we still have a few more things that could go down, but I'm really excited. Kujo having the revelation she did, like, yes, girl, I'm in your corner, I'm cheering for you, and I truly hope that that ship sails much sooner than the final volume. Like, I need to see it sail before then. Oh my goodness, I'm still deeply continuing to enjoy this series, and that is The Eccentric Doctor of the Moonflower Kingdom, volume 10. I did a short, and I think I put as the title, "Is the romance finally romancing?" because of, based off the blurb, based off the cover, it didn't unfold quite the way I expected. It was not what I thought it would be, but I still squealed, and so I'm still saying that yes, it did to a certain degree. I was really excited, but honestly, the thing I loved most about this volume is that Kyoyo is growing as a character. We finally got that backstory and everything wrapped up of how Kyoyo and, oh my gosh, I can't remember his name, her brother-like figure, you should say. I want to say Shin, but no, Sing. I was like, this is not a sign of affection, but Kyoyo and Sing, how they are together, how they are today. And I was thankful that that was addressed, because I had wondered, not that I shipped them romantically, but I was curious how there was not a romantic relationship between them. That backstory explains it and shows why. I mean, it doesn't explain it, but I feel like it shows why they have a brother-sister-like role between them. But the thing that I loved is going back to present day and seeing Kyoyo have this one patient, making the decisions that she is, and seeing how much she has changed. Not only just from a few volumes ago and the decisions that she made, but who she was in the past to who she is now. She is really growing as a female lead, but also as a doctor. And I never imagined that that would be like the most exciting part for me personally. I do agree with my friend Layla that there was a joke at the end that was just unneeded. I loved the character, but I just didn't like the reaction that she got because I thought she was very beautiful. So that part was a little bit of a letdown, but overall, I definitely enjoyed this volume a lot. It was very engaging, and I'm excited to see where it goes and what's going to happen next in Kyoyo's journey. I have 2 more volumes to feature, and these are by 2 different publishers. The first one is Square Enix, and I am saying that this is my favorite read of June, and that is Always a Catch Volume 3. This series continues to be a delight to read, and I think for this volume there were so many different things. I loved how action heavy it was. I love seeing the power of the brass knuckles and seeing our female lead kick butt, even if it was for some really interesting Interesting Matters that made me laugh out loud a lot because I had never seen that in a manga before, or at least a shoujo manga. I had a great time. I love seeing the male lead have this really great 2-page spread. Like, I was shook when it happened, and I went back and instantly reread it because it was just so good and so surprising. The romance, though, in this manga definitely is romancing, and I was here for it. I really loved how it ended, even though it was like, girl, you tell him, because I don't know why he asked the question that he did, but at the same time, it really goes to show a lot about his character and how much he really cares for Mimi and wants the best for her. And I truly think that there's not going to be smooth sailing for this couple, but definitely it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be such a fun time. How it's unfolding has just been such a fun and precious thing to read. It's been so surprising, and I'm so glad that I gave this manga a chance because I am having a great time and loving the art. I think I'm gonna see if I can share the one with the brass knuckles because I think it was the chapter heading, but she just looks so cool and she can kick butt, and I love when we have a heroine who can kick butt, which leads me to my final read that I'm going to feature. I also read volume 3 of The Margrave's Daughter and the Enemy Prince. I bet I read this with Gira, or my friend Gira. Oh my goodness, like, this wasn't quite as exciting as volume 2 because our female lead was totally kicking butt and it was awesome, epic, and I was like, yes, I am seated. The first opening chapter of this, oh, I was squealing. It was so good. Like, even when I was flipping through this morning, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this was everything. This is the buildup we have been wanting as readers. It was perfect. But after that, I wouldn't say it went downhill, but I do agree with my friend where she was like, you know, it's building up, and it definitely feels like things are being put in place, and you can definitely see that in this volume. You get to know the bad guy, and I am not a fan of him, and I hope that he is taken down. I'm definitely beginning volume 4 because I really want to see where this series goes. I was a little worried at one moment when you see the male lead's mom and how she was treated. It was very triggering for me, and I was taken aback by that, and just, I don't know if it's just because she's a mom, if it was because seeing the male lead react to the treatment and how his mom is reacting to him, like, it was just very upsetting, and that is definitely one reason I'm like, take down that bad guy because what he's doing is just awful. He's very sneaky. He's so much like a snake, and his character design, I don't know if I should show it, his character design is very interesting because it's very, very dark. Like, a lot of black hair and black clothing, which makes it a very interesting contrast on page when our female lead is not decked out in black. So you can definitely, I think, see the good between the bad guy and the good guy. Hopefully that made sense. So that was really interesting. We did meet several new characters, and I am curious to see how they will like be on page later. Our female lead, even if she wasn't kicking butt like she was in volume 2, she's still slaying. Like, I really admire how she handles different situations and her courage and her bravery. She is an incredible heroine, and really enjoy seeing her shine and where this series is going to go. And as you can see, even though there were several series I wasn't overly fond of, there's definitely a lot I want to continue and really enjoyed, and hopefully I didn't speak harshly or, you know, not love one of your faves, because I feel like that's always really hard because we want other people to love the same manga we do. But hopefully there was some that I did. Let me know, what did you read? What was one of your favorite reads in June? Did I read maybe any of your favorites? Yeah, let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!